Akutagawa Ryūnosuke, or The Beauty of the Ultimate Gaze. Translated from French. A vague uneasiness.
ぼんやりした不安。
These words, traced in haste by Akutagawa Ryūnosuke before absorbing the poison at dawn on the 24th of July, 1927, are as the key to all his writings. He was 35 years old. He left behind him some 150 short stories in which the splendor of art and the torments of existence conspire to lend his work an inimitable aura, and the stupefaction of a Japan that dimly sensed, in this death, the end of an age. In the House of Hades. Many cultivated Japanese have passed, in their youth, through a period strongly marked by this discreetly intellectual writer, tinged with a carefree irony, but who, beneath a casual exterior, ill conceals something nervous, anxious, ill-assured, akin to those courtesans whose winning smile cannot quite veil the malaise that wells up within their innermost being and which, at a given moment, springs to the surface of existence to submerge it. Thus, since his enigmatic suicide, Akutagawa's soul has haunted Japanese letters. Endo Shusaku recounts this obsessive dream. I was in a dark room, facing Akutagawa Ryūnosuke. He stood before me without a word, his head bowed and his arms crossed over his worn grey kimono. He rose abruptly, drew aside the bamboo blind behind him, and entered the adjoining room. I knew that it was the world of the dead. It was then that I woke. Why did I so frequently have such morbid dreams? Beside me, my wife slept peacefully. How can one not think of the Iliad, when Achilles sees in a dream the shade of Patroclus and stretches out his arms to seize it? In vain, the soul had vanished beneath the earth, like smoke. Alas, there is, then, even in the House of Hades, a soul, or else a shade. Thus does Akutagawa return, a familiar shade, in the memory of a people that refuses to let him disappear entirely into the House of Hades. Under the sign of the dragon. Akutagawa was named Ryūnosuke, son of the dragon, for he was born on the 1st of March, 1892, at the hour of the dragon, on the day of the dragon, in the month of the dragon of the year of the dragon. The madness of his mother, when he was but a few months old, bequeathed to him instead the terror of accursed heredity. The child was taken by the maternal family, an old line of retainers of the shogunate, which nourished him on the Chinese and Japanese classics. The collision of this traditional Orient with the contemporary Occident, Meiji, Anatole France, Poe, and so forth, made of him a man torn, divided, riven, a man double and contradictory. This difficulty of being, common to his generation, his short stories would refine and amplify to the point of a kind of obsession. And yet, of all Japanese writers, none was better disposed than Akutagawa to take refuge in art. He described himself as a reader, perched atop a bookshop ladder, surveying from on high the pettiness of the sellers and customers bustling among the shelves. Human life is not worth a single line of Baudelaire.
人生は一行のボードレールにもしかない。
He would say. The dazzling play of the puppeteer. Akutagawa had established himself at 24 as the prince of the short tale, favorite disciple of Natsume Soseki. He had even been considered as the master's son-in-law. His so-called historical tales, Rashomon, In the Thicket,
藪の中
and others, in which he blends a resolutely modern spleen with the voices that weep, the voices that laugh of old Japan, remain his most celebrated. What one admires in them is not the exactitude of the historian, but the burlesque puppets, the chilling marionettes of the fairground showman, which he makes dance at the end of invisible strings by his sumptuous erudition, his hyper-acute sensibility, his innate sense of drama. The whole world, put into a box, the puppet showman.
世の中は箱に入れたり傀儡し
Jean-Jacques Arrigos comments, the author seemed to slip away, had he not entitled collections of short stories The Puppet Showman,
傀儡し
and Carousel of Shadows.
影灯籠
And yet the reader perceived his presence in every line. This theatre of shadows attains its height in infernal figures,
地獄編
where the painter Yoshihide, to complete his fresco, contemplates his own daughter burning alive before his eyes, then hangs himself, for accomplished art is akin to the flame that demands living fuel, and Akutagawa would make it a point of honor to make himself its willing victim. A martyr to art. Suddenly the puppet showman appeared in person, amid the sets of real life, and, in works often heartrending, he described, The obsessions that, little by little, assailed him and that were to carry him off. In 1927, the disintegration of his reason under morbid obsessions, under gloomy self-indulgences, dictated his final masterpieces. It turns to sniggering with Kappa, to hallucination with gears,
歯車。
to madness with the life of an idiot.
あるアホの一生。
I am, after all, the son of a madwoman, he confides in a letter to an old friend,
ある旧友へ送る手記。
written on the eve of his death, and he adds, perhaps you will laugh at the contradiction in which I find myself, I who, while loving the beauty of nature, resolve to do away with myself. But nature is beautiful because it is reflected in my ultimate gaze. Kawabata Yasunari knew how to express the tragedy of this final incandescence. Most often sickly and enfeebled, he blazes up at the last moment before going out entirely. Thus the son of the dragon was extinguished, a martyr to art, the Bible open, to the sound of the falling rain. Shigeneoa, on learning of his death, uttered this phrase of admirable restraint: he could not have done otherwise.